Excellent. So we're gonna, let's see here. Share my screen. We're gonna start off with a little, recap of, let's see, is that working here? No, I guess it's working. I can't see myself today. Oh well. Anyway, so we're gonna do workshop 2 is gonna talk about drama and creation, and the way out through some mantras and different sayings that you can have to take every thought captive, um, and then how to stay on track and some accountability ideas, and then some conclusions and next steps. And so I wanted to start off with a little bit about our homework discussion. And these were the 3 questions. And so I'm going to stop share and have us just kind of, who wants to share a little bit of their homework that was done?
I didn't do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Does it have to be one instance or in general?
No. I mean,
I'll tell you, my weakness is Reese's cups. And used to, if I gave in to that, I would beat myself up and I would eat 10 of them instead of one.
okay.
And over time, I've gotten to where I can have the one, which I shouldn't have if I'm going to stay on the 5 and 1, but I can control myself enough now to have the one and leave it alone. How did I feel? Felt like crap, and I beat myself up, and I went to that many more. If I've done it bad, I'm going to go ahead and go bad,
Right.
instead of, what they say, if you messed up 3 hours, don't mess up 3 days or 5 days,
Yeah. And something you said there, Brian, if you can tap in the ability now to have one Reese's cup and not have more, you can actually just as easily not have the one.
I agree.
It's the same thing, but it's a belief and a conviction that that's going to matter and that's going to have a value there. Yeah, thank you, Brian. Who wants to go next? We're just talking about our instance when you gave into a training and what were the emotions and thoughts and circumstances that led to that.
I can.
Hi, Lonnie. Yeah.
Hey, so I have to qualify what I'm going to say by the fact that there are many things that trigger me. So coming in together with just one item was a little bit tricky for me, but I'll just share kind of what's in the front and foremost for me right now.
Okay.
I have not been physically well for a few months now. I'm dealing with some health things and and so many times I don't feel good and I'm tired and I don't feel like cooking and just those kind of things. And so it becomes this whole almost like a rolling pin, right? So I don't feel good. I don't want to cook but I know I need to eat. I get home at 5 o'clock or 5:30 at night. It's dark. I'm the only one home. So fast and easy, right? Think, okay, what can I have fast and easy? So example, last night I had grilled a steak. I had a piece of steak and some salad with, I use the Walden Farm salad dressing. So a little bit of Walden Farm salad dressing on it. And I was absolutely satisfied. I was okay. Sat down on the couch, was playing with my dogs, doing some other things. And then it was like a ton of brick. It's like, I'm hungry. I need to eat. Right. And instead of stopping to think about, am I really hungry or am I just bored, tired, whatever, it's like, oh, what can I get? And I find myself up foraging in the fridge for something to eat. And we do routinely mix up where we sit in our living room just because I know that those habits also can create that desire or that whatever. And so my remedy to things is I just don't bring things home. Like I don't bring popcorn home. I don't bring ice cream home, cookies, candies, any of those things. Right. But we have someone else who lives in our house with us. And I can't expect them to do the same thing. So those things are here, right? Somewhat. So that tends to be
maybe you can't expect them. Maybe, not for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, depends on who's paying for the main house and all that. I mean, so that may be a concept that you have that might be true.
Mhm.
It might not be true, you know. But anyway, there's some strategies around working on that because that's one of the simplest strategies is just avoidance. If you're not going to eat it in your house, don't have it in your house, because the likelihood that you are want ice cream so bad you get in your car and you go get it is a lot smaller than walking 10 feet.
Yeah,
But I'm not saying it's true or not true. I'm just saying maybe it's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I get that. It's very, what I'm saying. I'm just saying that's where that has been my excuse, right? So
Mhm.
got really sick, spent some time in the ICU, um, put me on steroids, gained quite a bit of weight back. I've been on steroids on and off all summer, so gained like 20 pounds, honestly.
Mhm.
So let's just be frank about that. And now I'm sitting in that position of I feel defeated. And so then it's like, okay, if I'm defeated, then what am I doing? So
Mhm.
that's my 2 cents worth of what's
Yeah,
going on with me.
it's great insight. And one of the reasons why I feel this inspiration came is well, there was a couple of conversations. One of them is a coach that works with Dawn, and she had taken herself out of the game over gaining 15 pounds back. So she was no longer advocating for other people's health because she couldn't solve the 15-pound problem. And I honestly think that it's an epidemic among coaches, and the solution it's a pretty common solution, and that's what we're here today tonight to talk about. But when we get the coaches winning personally, the rest of it is going to take care of itself. You won't be able to keep you from talking about it because you talk about things that you're either really worried about or really excited about, right? And if the scale's going down and you're winning again, you're going to be excited about that. I'm certain of it. And you're going to have this hope and confidence that comes within inside you that it'll just be authentic and very energetic. So, by the way, your guys' feedback in the forum was exactly what I was looking for. Because I was like, come on, guys, I asked you to be part of a work group. And so you got to give me some feedback. And it was um, a couple of them brought just tears to my eyes this morning, especially yours, Kelly. I was just like, I got choked up because I was just like, wow, you know, I can tell when there is, I love seeing when people have a, a spark of hope, right? And that just thrills me for the work that we do. We got time for one more. Who else wants to go? Oh, go ahead, Kelly.
Okay. Today was the whole week was a real busy week and it was frustrating. And so today, after I got off the bus, I told Stacy, I says, I have that class at 6 o'clock. But man, luckily I do, or I'd just go home and have a drink,
Yeah.
but I didn't do it,
Right.
but I did think about it. And I had a pretty good week last week. I dropped 5.5 pounds last week, and I didn't do everything the way I should have, but it was a good week. And I felt way different,
Yeah.
just with the 5.5 pounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the thoughts are always there, but we gotta avoid them.
Yep. It's so good. It's yeah. Good job, you guys. This is the most important work that we can do, and it's not allowing our instinctual limbic system, what the Bible calls it, our flesh, be the dominant force in our life. Outside outside things that we have no control over, or the internal things that we do have control over, both of those can become the dominant force in our life, but they don't have to. And all of my work here is based upon scripture, the truth of scripture. And so if you're a Christian, this will make sense to you. And if you're not, it still is true. And so the reality is that we don't have to be um, uh, at the beck and call of our desires.
Mhm.
We, every human being, was made in God's image. We're image bearers, whether we believe in God or not. And so He's given us some innate qualities, and one of those is um, that you're not forced to sin, right? And I'm not saying eating something off plan is sin, so I just
Yeah.
be real careful about that. But anyhow, well, let me jump into a couple of my first slides here, and we got some great. This is going to be fun tonight. I think we're going to have a ball on this. Except for my cute little slide, my little thing is not working. So, oh well. Um, Anyhow, let's see here. So, we talked about the homework, and so then we're going to go into an idea called drama versus creation. And I was just talking with Jared Smithson because we're having a training event this weekend or this week next week in Florida, and he talked about this thing called the bridge, and I was telling him all about these things, and the bridge is going from the drama triangle where you're a victim, you can never get a break, and then you become the rescuer to come in and say, well, I know what'll make my evening go better. It'll be, blah blah blah, right? And so this idea is that we've got the drama triangle on one side and the empowerment triangle on the other side. And the drama is the victim, why can't I catch a break? Everything's always happening to me. It's the villain where, you know, I'm going to find somebody to blame for this. I mean, there's a reason why this is happening. And I'm going to go after it. And then the hero, comes in and saves the day, preventing everybody else from, winning because the hero takes all the credit and saves the day. And we want to the bridge between those two things is what we're calling shift, where you shift the way you're thinking. And so you can learn some shift moves, and those I find are show up in mantras, right? But when you get over on, oh, hero, I didn't do a very good job of my slide. That's not supposed to say, it's not supposed to say any of those things. Well, I'll have to figure that one out. The empowerment triangle is supposed to be a coach, an entrepreneur, and let me grab my habits of health right here. And a coach, a creator, a challenger, and these are all part of the empowerment triangle. And the one that strikes me in there is creator. And it's a small c, creator, but we have the ability to actually create a way out. When we get to a crossroads, we can solve. The term I really like is a puzzle. Everything is a puzzle, and all puzzles have solutions. And so we have to look to solve the puzzle. Puzzles are also found in game stores, and so they're fun. And so you can think of things as problems or things as puzzles. And these little mantras and shift phrases are ways that we can create a change in choice, which then creates a change in our future, right? And so some of these are pretty good. This is the one that I use on myself. Simmer down, it's just pizza, right? And I'll say that out loud to myself, especially when, you're over and there's Papa Mercy's pizza and it smells so amazing. And, and you have your beautiful grilled chicken and all that. And it's like, simmer down, it's just pizza. This is one Don Carpenter says, I'm building a new habit of keeping my commitments to myself. And so that was her mantra. I'm not continuing to reinforce the habit of breaking my commitments. I'm changing that by keeping them. Another one is you don't have to have the cookie. You've come too far to be bossed around by a little cookie. I mean, think about that. The dominance that sweets and different foods can have, where they just want to come in and rule your life. And it's just food. And so it's really powerful. The craving will subside in a couple of minutes. There's another mantra. Actually, um, that deep sort of basal craving can last about 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes when it's super intense. And if you understand that it will subside, you can distract yourself for 2 minutes. It's also interesting that Dr. A talks about um, stop, challenge, choose, waiting 90 seconds to let the chemistry in your brain, that volatile chemistry that wants to react and process through. Um, Another one, I think Don said this, not one bite. This will not get in my way and prevent me from winning. I love that. Um, it's just a craving, not life and death, not a life and death choice in this exact moment. It's just a craving. It's not life and death. It's only a bite. I can have it because it's only one bite, or I cannot have it because it's only one bite. Um, that particular one is really, really powerful. I think for a couple of reasons. One is because um, when I'll tell you the story about selling computers, and this analogy came up years ago when I was working for Apple and I was in a retail store, and somebody come in, they want to buy a computer and whatever, and we would figure out the perfect computer for them and everything, and I'd bring it out, and it was sitting there in front of them, and and then they'd want a bit of a discount. We only had about $200 in profit on a $3,000 computer. It wasn't much. So if I gave them $200 off, I didn't make any commission, right? And so sometimes it'd be $50, or you give them $25, something like that, because they didn't have much to work with. And I remember one time the person said, my budget is 2,900, and your bottom line is three. You're only $100 away from selling that computer. And I thought later, they're only $100 away from taking that bad boy home, right? And
Salesman.
yeah, so I just said, the way I see it is this thing's going to fit your needs perfectly. Look at how beautiful it is, and it has all the stuff that you wanted, and you are literally $100 away from walking out this door, taking it home, starting it up, and you get to spend as much time as you want on that thing. And you're only because if it was $100, it was the same bargaining chip either way. And what
Mhm.
I was willing to not sell that to him and sell it to somebody else, but what was he going to do? He was going to go home without his bad boy computer, right? And so you can use that same psychology on yourself that if you're just one bite, you had a perfect week except for one bite. Uh, and sometimes people, when my clients will say that, it says, "Oh, I had a great week except for one bite," and I'm like, "That's fantastic. That means next week you're one bite away from having no variables." I mean, like how close you are. It's fantastic. And it flips that psychology script to work in their favor rather than being on the side of their desire. You can have one bite. If you're only one bite away, you're only one bite away. That's like for sure. Do it. Um, let's see here. I'm going to share my screen again here. So this next one is uh, this is a client that I'm working with right now. Her name's Shauna B. And she says, "Girl, why are you weighing yourself every day? Nothing's changed." Right? And because I talked to her about it, I said, "Why do you think you're weighing yourself every day?" And she said, um, we came to the conclusion once she got real with it, is that she was struggling and flailing at just hoping that she would get lucky and the scale would go down
Mhm.
rather than making her own luck by her choices, right? And so just decided, I'm not going to weigh myself every day. Nothing's changed from yesterday. It's like, and actually another thing that I did one time, a lot of people have a problem with weighing themselves every day. And so I did an experiment. I weighed myself every hour for a day to see what happens during my weight during a whole day. And I found that 10 a.m. was my lowest weight of the day. That wasn't intuitive to me. I thought it would be the first thing in the morning after I went to the bathroom, but it was 10 a.m. And so I did that to just kind of give myself information that this is just data. I had a lady just today say she went to the doctors. She got to her goal weight. She went to the doctors, and the doctors had her weight was 6 pounds heavier than what her scale was. And I said, "Were you naked at the doctors?" And she says, "No." And she goes, "And I had shoes on too, and probably clothing and all the rest of that." She goes, "Yeah." And I go, "So all that number told you was what
Mm,
you weighed on that scale in your doctor's office with your shoes and clothes on. That's all that it told you." I said, "If you go home tomorrow morning and you grab a gallon of milk and you jump on the scale naked, you're going to weigh 8.2 pounds more because that's what a gallon of milk weighs." Right? And so the reality is that some these numbers get tweaked up in our heads. And what if we just simmer down and only actually weighed ourselves once a week, and we
I
just
do.
took the data that it gave us, and we didn't consider, if the scale's going down, I have more value, and if the scale's going up, I have less value, because the amount that you weigh has nothing to do with your value. Super, super important that we capture that particular piece there. So next up here, let's see here. My next slide. There we go. So we're going to move into what we call stop, challenge, choose. And there's some things that I've discovered with stop, challenge, choose that are really vital. A lot of people that I work with, they stop, challenge, choose. They'll say, "Oh yeah, I stopped, challenge, choose, and I had the brownie." And I said, "Well, I don't know if you stopped. I'm not sure if there was any challenge, but I know you made a choice. You maybe said those 3 words, but you didn't do those 3 words." And so this is my example of stop, challenge, choose. You come to a crossroads and you got to look left and look right, and you're driving your car. You come to a complete stop, not a California stop. You put your car in park. You apply the parking brake. That is a full stop, right? So stop, complete stop, car in. So you have to imagine, what's that like to do a mental complete stop? My car's in park, and I've got my parking brake applied, and I'm going to sit there for 90 seconds. That's a minute and a half. And I'm going to allow that intense desire and craving to subside, because those chemicals don't last long. They're pretty volatile. And then I'm going to go to challenge, right? Is this decision going to be something my future self will thank me for? Or will this be something that I'm only excited about right now? How many times in the past have I went ahead and had it now and then regretted it later? But you got to give yourself a little pause. And then you do the challenge, and then you make a choice. And it doesn't mean you'll always choose for your future self, but coming to that complete stop, making that conscious challenge, I think you're going to be far more ahead of the game than if you don't. Um, I want to stop here and get some feedback on that. Who's sees stop, challenge, choose a little differently now, or what's that kind of some feedback there? Brian, go ahead.
Sorry, I wasn't. Yeah, definitely. So I would always stop. I would challenge. I would choose. A lot of times I would choose the wrong thing, and I love that to really. You said put the parking brake on, and sit there and think about it. That's the thing. 90 seconds. Sit and think about it. Is this gonna get me to my health?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, because you can increase the value uh, of what you're willing to accept. The generic form of what we're willing to accept is something that's quick and tasty. Lonnie, you said that they're fast and easy, right? And so most people, when they go think about eating something, they'll think about what sounds good. They just think about taste. If you've had people over to your house and you tell them, or maybe you've had people that live in your house to dinner, and you said, "Oh, kiddos, I found this great new recipe. It's awesome and it's really healthy." They may not be that interested. So all they care about is health, is tasty. If it
Mm-hmm.
tastes good and if it's good for me, I could care less as long as it tastes good. Most people just don't know that you can have both if you become educated and you increase the value of the reasons why you eat. I always want things to taste good, but now I have a second criteria. I want it to be good for me. I don't want to regret that I've eaten it. And the third, I want it to be pretty simple. That's actually a criteria for me. So I want it to be flavorful. I want it to be good for me, and I want it to be fairly simple. And I'll tell you, in my 10 and a half years of maintaining this 10-pound window, one of the things that I love is Fage yogurt with a tablespoon of low sugar jam, a tablespoon of fresh ground peanuts, and I just mix it up like a little souffle. And it's like a peanut butter and jelly yogurt parfait, right? And it's one of my favorite things. Like it's an indulgent for me, but it's like really it's good for me. It's mostly protein and with a little bit of sweetener, and maybe I'll throw a little bit of low sugar freeze dried craisins in there, you know. And super simple thing though. But you'll find your different things. But think about, you are increasing your um, the criteria for the things you eat because you want more out of your food. It's got to taste good. It's got to be good for me today and tomorrow. And it should be fairly simple. And so when you're making things in your house and you have, just say, "Hey, I've got this really new recipe. A friend told me it tastes amazing," and then shut up and make it, right? And they're probably going to eat it, right? "Oh, I got this cauliflower. We're Thanksgiving. We're going to do mashed cauli." They're like, "No, thank you." They haven't even tasted it, right? So just do it. And anyway, I've also heard lots of people say, "I brought a healthy dish to this potluck and the plate was empty when I took it home. Everybody wanted to know my recipe." Well, it's probably because you didn't tell them it was healthy. Now, after they've eaten it and want the recipe, you can tell them why that was actually good for them too, right? Hannah, I see you going, "Yep, yep, yeah." So I know a lot of us have these same experiences, and really what I've done is I've been capturing these for 10 years and compiling just these different ideas, and then it coalesced into this presentation where we can talk about things that we all know about. You've all heard these things. That's where I got them. It's from listening to people, right? And the reality of all these things is that um, we have to think about people's motives and think about our own motives, and we're increasing the value of what we're going to eat, what we're going to put. It's true, you are what you eat. If you eat junk, your body is going to be junky, right? So all right, we got a couple more slides here to go. So hopefully you guys appreciate this next slide. um, and this is the Mandalorian, and it's one of his sayings, "This is the way." And that was just, he would say a statement, "This is the way," right? And so this is the way. It's as hard or as easy, depends on how you want to line it, but this is the guaranteed way out. And whether you define it as an easy thing or a hard thing, it's up to you. You might just define it as the way. And that is when you come to that moment of craving and that desire, that you will stop and you will think about, hold on. First of all, do I believe that I have the ability to say no? Because this is just a craving. Is this a craving or is this a craving? And you're going to have some more tomorrow, and you'll have some more the day after that, and you'll have some more at Thanksgiving, and you'll have some more the day after that. Every day you're going to have cravings for things, but they're not requirements. And when you get that in your head that you are not a puppet to your cravings any longer, you become that's the shift move. The shift move to become the creator, and the shift move to stop being at the effect of bodily cravings and desires. There's plenty of things in your life that you desire that you say no to, by the way. If you're happily married, there's plenty of things you say no to, right? Yeah, I mean, if you're struggling for finances, you don't go rob a bank, right? There's plenty of things that you might have a craving to do something and you go, no, that wouldn't be right. I ain't doing it. I find some people that are that decide to be, or they're kosher, or they decide to be vegan, and they just like turn a switch and they no longer eat meat. Yesterday I did, today I never do. And it's like a switch, and they do it. Some people with alcohol, they decide I'm done with alcohol, and the next day they never drink again. It is absolutely it's an option you can choose. I'll just say that it's choosable every time. And we're going to give you some scripture that actually backs that up in a pretty powerful way too. So, um, and then Dawn, you said this yesterday. When I engaged, when my weight was going up, I engaged in one of the components primarily, which is I went back and I ordered fuelings. For me, I'll have this interesting thing that I'll see a client that hasn't ordered for a year, and all of a sudden they'll place an order, and they'll order for 2 or 3 months, and then they'll cancel their premiere. And then it goes 6 months and they order again, right? And then it'll go 2 or 3 months and they don't order. And I've called them like on the second time and said, bro, you want some help with this? Would you like to partner? It's like, yeah, because I'm flailing. And I'm like, yeah, I bet. Because you thought the food was magic and that there was really nothing about the partnership and about the coaching process here. And so when we think about our components, there's more than one. So engage in the fuelings. Yes, no brainer. And work with your coach. Everybody here has a coach. I would question you if your coach, if your coaching relationship has been business to business, check yourself on your next call. Call your coach up and say, I'd like you to be my health coach. 1 10-minute session per week. We can do our business coaching at another time, but I'd like to do a 10-minute coaching session with you 1 week where you're my health coach, not my business coach. That's going to be hard to do, especially when you start to unlock this and you're starting to feel great again, because your business is going to start going great again. And you're going to want to talk about all those exciting things. Keep that time sacred. Don't lose your coach. And obviously, the community. A lot of you guys pay attention to the community anyway. Our Monday night meetings are more valuable than just the information that's delivered. Being there and being around other people that are in the battle and watching them battle does something subconsciously for us. And of course, the habits of health, going back and picking up where you stopped, or getting a new book and reading through that again. Maybe doing a life book learning book club, you know. And now we're going to go to something I call the F word. This was my inspiration this morning, and it's fasting. And so there are a number of ways to fast. You can fast many things in your life. There's a biblical definition of fasting, which is to deny your flesh and feed your spirit. So when you have a hunger pain and you would think about going and eating, instead you'd stop, have some worship, have some prayer time, that kind of thing. So that is a full on double effect where you're getting the benefit of the spiritual side and you're getting the benefit of the physiological side. But you can also do this with just the physiological side. But I think it's going to help you with psychological too. But some of the questions, or I should say objections, yeah, is, oh, I can't do that. I have low blood sugar issues, or oh, I'll pass out. Um, I need to be alert for my job. Oh, it will be hard. When I have a ministry with a bunch of men and we talk about fasting as a discipline, and when we talk, hey, everybody, we're going to fast this week, these are the ones they say. Oh, I don't know about that. And in scripture, it says not if you fast, but when you fast. And so there is a super, super valuable component to when your body says, if you don't feed me, we're gonna die, and you say, simmer down, you're not gonna die. And this is a fantastic component around fasting. Um, let's see here. Let me finish the slide and I'll come back to you, Hannah. Um, Fasting is a simple way to become the dominant force in your food life, right? There are many remarkable benefits. When the voice of craving tells you that it's a bad idea, think about that. When you say, I'm thinking about fasting, and then you hear this voice in your head that says, that's a horrible idea, take note. Why is there two voices in my head? Our carnal voice, our carnal self avoids things that require discipline. It wants the easy street. Unfortunately, the easy street, when it comes with on that road, turns out to be actually the bondage street down in the future. Um, you get a planned opportunity to exercise your commitment. So I fast once a week. It's usually between a 20 and a 24-hour fast. And I kind of cheat because I get my 8 hours of sleeping, which we all do, right? So you can pack those in there. But we can talk about that. Hannah, go ahead. You had your question or your hand that came up.
I just didn't understand where you're going with that, in that if you were suggesting that we
Right.
fast.
I'm suggesting that when that craving voice is dominant in your life, one of the ways you can develop spiritual disciplines, well, they are spiritual disciplines, but they can also just be disciplines for how you live your life, is to do a fasting. And I have some suggestions on how you could start doing those kinds of things. But if you feel like you're out of control and you feel like you just like, if you go ahead and you indulge into something, you have just this crazy weekend, you might decide to do a 24-hour fast, water only, and just say, I'm going to eat when I decided to eat, not when my body tells me I have to. And it's a way to exert that dominance over that carnal craving, desire voice that you have. And so this is kind of a big dog gun here. It won't hurt the 5-in-1, by the way. You can do a fast, 24-hour fast when you're in fat burn. Your body's just going to pull more fat that day. You will be hungry, but you won't die. And so this is something, like I said, it's an option for you, something to think about. Um, and then one way to do it is pick a day and a duration to do your fast. Some beginners, you might just wait until 11 to have your first meal, and then get your 5-in-1 between 11 and 7. That's kind of an intermittent fasting thing, but that also is you're getting in all your 5-in-1. So you get all your nutrients, you get your lean and green, you get all your water in. You can drink water throughout the whole thing. But that's a simple little one you might want to try. Another one's maybe you wait till 3 o'clock to have your first meal. And then advanced, is 24 hours. And what I tell myself is not a second early will I break my fast. Because I'll be like, oh, it's only 5 minutes to go. And my brain is just trying to weasel its way to get me to break my commitment to myself. And it's like, no, it's not what we're going to do. So, and you don't have to do the fasting thing. This is just a way of regaining control when things seem like they're out of control. And it actually is it's one of the best, worst things that you do It's that you're always happy after you did it, but while you're doing it, you're never very happy about it, right? And it's just this thing there. So any other questions about um, the stop challenge choose and really identifying that moment of desire and your belief, and then the fact that you can actually say no, um, and endure that craving because it is only just a craving. And those, Don, we talked about mantras. I'm this close from having a successful week where I've kept my commitments. I'm not going to let that go now.
Craig, there's an old book that you should pick up sometime by Stanton Peele, who is one of the most preeminent researchers in addictive theory in the world, and Archie Brodsky at Harvard. Peele, I think, was the University of Washington, and it's called The Truth About Addiction and Recovery. And that book was not carried by very many people because it was so counter the recovery movement, because they just show personality. Like, for instance, there was a really, really good young singer who was asked to sing for these terribly wealthy people in Chicago. He had a drinking problem, and he got up to sing, and he threw up over a woman in the front row. It was just horrible. And at that moment, he said, "I'll never drink again." And he never did. And that was Bing Crosby.
Mm.
And the same thing is true of Johnny Carson, all these people, they just went boom, done, and walked away. So all I'm saying is there's tons of research to support what you just said. That's right. You can say done, enough.
Yep. And what I told someone this recently, and they're what I call the tempting voice, this voice of desire. Immediately they said what they thought was, well, we're human and we can't be perfect. That was the first thing that came out. I said, but it's always one of your options. Because I want to flip that script in her head. It's always an option on the table to not indulge in the craving and to have something that serves you and tastes good, right? It's always available for you. Make no mistake, every time. And there's a scripture here at the end, that I'm going to share with you as well. But here's the idea of an action plan. And so can you, I think you can, but will you commit to 30 days of 100%? This is what Dawn did. Dawn in September, I think it was September, she said not one bite. And she's like, I'm gonna prove one way or the other what is true. And she proved it. And it was awesome. Actually, she was the catalyst for this whole thing, is her victory. And I was out of the country and she was here battling, dominating, and it was fantastic. And you can pick an accountability partner, right? Maybe your health coach, right? I think because we all have a health coach, that it would be a wonderful thing to involve your health coach. What if your health coach is struggling as well and then they connected with their health coach? What if we got back and we weren't just business coaches, but we became health coaches again? Daily calls. I think when you're first starting, you really want to battle through. Just like Kelly said, I knew when I got home tonight, I had these cravings and these desires, but I knew I was going to be on this thing at 6, and there was no way I was drinking or having whatever, right? And so having that daily calls and a clear plan with whoever it is you're talking to. Um, you pick a time every night that you do your 5-minute check-in. I know with the Carters, they've got this little weekly weigh-in group, and they've got a little bit of prize money and stuff, and they do a little competition thing that could work as well. So there's a number of things to do, but go make the shift move and get over to creator and out of the drama triangle. So make up your own plan and have a plan and work it. And of course, will you engage in all 4 components? And then I think our little Facebook, our struggle bus, ticket off the struggle bus thing could be a thing where we were reporting in how we're doing. You know, well, I battled this. I said no to that. I said yes to my health. Here's the situation. I killed it today. Right? Because that'd be very, very encouraging as we navigate through this. And this is the this First Corinthians 10:13. The temptations in your life are no different from what others experience. And temptations, cravings, desires. And God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. So when you're tempted, he will show you a way out so that you can endure. And this is not some of the time, this is all of the time. And so that is now concluding. And now it's discussion time. If you
Hey,
guys
Craig,
don't
can
have,
I say one thing about
yeah,
a way that one of my coaches is doing that weigh-in challenge thing. Instead of the way that's normally done, people in her group just come on. They say the plan they're on, 5-1 pure, 5-1 ish, 4-2. They're just honest about it and transparent. They say what their weight is on a daily basis. The encouragement is unbelievable because there is zero judgment.
mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, my coach is one of my coaches is running one where we've opened it up to non-Optavia people too, just friends.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Well,
and it's just great to see the encouragement and
yeah. Well, the
accountability.
encouragement and the accountability, and some of it, though, I think can go one step further, and you can have a plan and you can be empowered. And that's the point of this workshop, was that you have everything that you need to be able to say no. You do it all the time. You do it in many areas of your life. And whatever we're tempted by or whatever our craving is for in the moment, it's not an obligation that you give into it. One of your options is no. Sometimes we don't realize that in the moment. We think it's a foregone conclusion that yes is the only, it's a when. And that's not true. One of your options is always no, thank you. Always, every time. Don't forget it. I'm saying this enough so you hear my voice in your head, that there is always a way out. You can always say no. It is available for you to choose every time. It's available. You're not going to be forced to do it, but you can. You can every time. Don't 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 let any of those other, see, sometimes we're going to get these little, I call it the tempting voice, just this voice in our head that says, well, except for in this one situation. And if you're feeling a little anxious right now, because we've actually laid out, this is the way. We've laid out the frank and maybe unsettling reality that you can actually say no. It's available to you every time. And it doesn't mean you will. And if you don't, give yourself a break, right? Grow and learn from it. Don't put shame on yourself and beat yourself up. But the other side of that shame is give yourself encouragement, because it's possible. It absolutely is possible for each one of you. I'm certain of it. I've seen you guys do it. What was different the first time than this time? You did it the first time you went through the 5-1. You were slaying it, maybe even the second time, right? And so I'm certain that it's available for you. And you just have to be aware of, ooh, I'm at that crossroads. Okay, foot on the brake, car in park, emergency brake on. Let's sit here for a second. Breathe. Now, I just went to the struggle bus thing. Am I getting off the struggle bus or am I staying on the struggle bus? Don said, am I going to keep my commitments or am I going to break my commitments? Either one that I choose is going to build a habit. She chose to start building those, right? So, feedback, questions. Where do you guys want to go from here? Because this is a beta. We're making this up. Never done this before. And so you guys are the dream team. You're the trailblazers. So what would work good? Maybe we do something with this group, but who has some ideas as to what they find would be helpful for them as we move forward the next 30 days?
I think if we could do something with this group, it would be great, Craig. Because when I was thinking last night, watching those people, and thinking to myself, if you didn't use the habits when you lost 100 pounds, now you're taking Ozempic and you're going to lose it faster. What makes you think you're going to gain the habits now? And I'm just going nuts, saying we've got to help people somehow internalize this.
Yeah.
You are so right. I mean, there could not be a better time for this. Couldn't be.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. With or
I was going
without
to say the same
Ozempic.
thing. If we're the beta, let's do this. Like a 30-day through Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could do it. That'd be more than 30. That'd be
Well,
fantastic.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. But so you got to tell yourself, so listen for that voice in your head. Oh, but Thanksgiving and grandma's stuffing. Listen for those little silly thoughts. You won't
Oh,
die without the
I'm
stuffing.
I'm already worried because we have a trip next week, 2 trips actually, one for Optavia and then one for my regular work, and then we have Thanksgiving the week after. I was thinking, okay, December 1st through the 30th. That's me already in my head right
Yeah.
now.
Well, Brian, I'll say a real strong statement here. It's not going to be any easier December 1st than it is today, and it also won't be any harder. It just is what it is. It's not easy or hard. It's just the process. If you tell yourself it's going to be really hard, it might be really hard. If you tell yourself it's easy, it might be really easy. What if it wasn't either? What if it just was? It was just logistics. Yeah. Listen for that little voice in your head because, boy, it's sneaky.
I feel sometimes, just thinking about going into the holiday season, I feel like in myself, it's oh my gosh, the whole family's together. What have we always done, right? We've celebrated with food. We have birthdays, we eat. We have Christmas, we eat. We have Thanksgiving, we eat. So Thanksgiving for David's family, by the way, my husband is also on plan. We did this together. Um, and he's struggling as well. So, for his family, their tradition is always to do brunch. That's the only time in the year they ever get together,
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving. And they sit and they eat and they talk and they play games. So already in my brain, it's like, oh man, I'm gonna have all these people in my house and I'm gonna have to be cooking. And how am I going to cook this stuff and not eat it? Right. So that
Well, and two
it's
things there,
there.
Lonnie. One thing is you could use this group to come up with some ideas on a lean and green for brunch that's perfectly fine for you to eat. There's also some strategies where you make the food in the kitchen and you serve the food far in the other room. I had a strategy going into Thanksgiving, and it was I could have seconds, but I had to wait 2 hours. And I would go get my firsts, I would eat them, and I would leave the kitchen. I would go to, I was like, I can't, this place is too, so I said, let's go play some games in the back room. And I left the room. I set a timer for 2 hours. Now it was time to fuel again. And that was my Thanksgiving plan. I didn't, when I put my head on the pillow that night, I didn't say, oh, I ate too much. I was like, killed it. It was awesome. Yeah. And it can happen. And actually, I probably had a better Thanksgiving that Thanksgiving because I was focused on connecting with people to distract me from the food. And quite honestly, the food wasn't like, uh, why do I never eat the Thanksgiving meal any other time of the year? Because I don't really like it. It's not that great. The turkey's dry. I mean, I would much prefer to have steak and a salad or something like that, right? And so Thanksgiving can be a really big deal for you. The food can be, or the tradition of the family. And it depends on how you're going to frame it in your brain and what is the mantras you're going to tell yourself. Yeah, it's really good. Heather, we haven't heard from you yet. What's going through What's going through your
I
brain right
think it's a
now?
great idea. We do this huge Thanksgiving feast at school for the kids, so I've got to go through 2 Thanksgivings with food just in massive amounts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm ready to go into this strong as can be. There was one thing I thought, oh, if I want it, well, I'll just take a little piece and freeze it and have it 2 months later, and it'll be in the freezer, and that'll be my, if the one thing, if I feel like, I can't totally miss out, that would be
Mm-hmm.
something in the future. So I think it's a great idea. I love the idea of talking as a team here of ideas of what we can eat. And my brain's already starting to go about what I'm going to eat. And I'm just going to
Mm-hmm.
make myself something different.
Yeah. Well, the neat thing about it, Heather, not one of us is going to be surprised that Thanksgiving happens on, what is it? Thanksgiving happens on the 23rd. Nobody will be like, "What? Thanksgiving's here? Are you kidding me? Do I have to deal with all this food?" It won't be a surprise to any of us. And so we can premeditate our path through it. You can meditate on it, dwell on it in advance, come up with a quality plan. And remember, we said on Tuesday, when I change my plan, when I'm in the battle, it's never a better plan, right? Karen, do you want to join?
Yeah, so I got an idea.
Yeah.
Were you only planning to have this um little get together twice, today being the second time?
Well, this was the beta test to develop the content better.
Okay,
I'm going to roll
so
the Struggle Bus workshop out to all the coaches in the
here,
tribe.
here's my idea.
Okay.
Since we're your guinea pigs,
Yeah, that's a
right?
good word for it.
How
It
about
could ruin your lives. I'm just telling you.
I know, yeah. How about if we all message on this thread our weight Thanksgiving morning, and then we do it again the following week, just as encouragement and accountability. I know we
Yeah.
each have our own coach, but we're, as our tagline is, right, we're better together.
Mhm.
Because I'm really struggling right now.
Mm.
And I almost didn't make it today. And I don't know who said it. I think it might have been you that said that when you don't show up for yourself, it's like you're letting your friends and your clients down,
Mm.
right? You don't want to show up for them either because of what you're going through. And this has nothing to do with that. I'm just really struggling with some family stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if nobody else wants to do it, that's fine.
No, I
But
think it's a good, yeah.
this is very supportive. And for some people, holidays are really hard.
Yep.
Oh, Karen,
Oh.
it's a great idea, but why wait? Why wait till Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Why not do it Monday morning?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what we do in our other challenges is
Yeah.
Yeah.
your photo of your scale is in by 9 a.m. your time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And anyway,
What about tomorrow morning, Hannah?
there we go.
Tomorrow. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, and just a little in your world, Karen, there are some things that are happening that are outside your control. Some things with your family, some things that are you can maybe influence, some things you can't even influence. They're just going to happen. One thing that is in your control is caring for you. You
Yeah.
can care for yourself. You can give yourself a hug. You can give yourself quality food. You can um, snuggle up with your hubby and get some love, and all of those kinds of things. There are things that are in your control. And so,
Yeah.
focus on and at least put energy into things you can control.
Oh, I have. And I'm telling you, as I sit here in my pantry, um, as I don't know if you guys saw, I was making sugar-free Jello so that I don't go to the pantry and get the stuff I shouldn't. So I am caring for my body.
Mhm.
So yeah, that has not been an issue. It's just trying to make sure I don't get into that victim
Mhm.
triangle.
Yeah.
As I'm trying to be the hero for my family member who really needs me.
Mm.
And however, this person sees me as the villain. And so it's you can't step away from that
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it's your own daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just can't. And so um I patted myself on the back when I responded above the line without my usual uh losing it
Yep.
because of what's happening. So
Yep.
there are wins. There are wins.
Yep. That's good. And we're gonna finish up and close it down for tonight. We'll think about it. We'll come up with some different ideas in our little group, and then we'll decide on how we want to move forward and you know, how you want to participate. I just want you also to come away from here empowered that you always have the
Yeah.
choice to make the choice. You always do. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for being
Thank
part of
you.
this as well.
Thanks,
This has been
everybody.
fantastic. Yep.
I want to thank everybody as well. Karen, thank you for opening up that got to me as well, because we're
Yeah.
dealing with stuff at home as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a hard season.
All right, team. We're better together. Let's stick together, okay?
Yeah.
See you
Good
guys.
night,
Have a good
everybody.
night.